What exactly would you say if this was one of like a girlfriend of yours?
I'd go down the route of, obviously I'd want to know how she kind of like felt towards him, how much like love there was, and I would just go down the route of having like an open and honest conversation and just saying, this is the way that I'm feeling. I feel like I can't kind of like relax in this relationship. I feel very unnatural doing XYZ times. But I would just say, have like an open and honest conversation. If there's like enough love there, then surely both people would want to work on changing something.
You can't overlook effective communication. Like, I thought, this concept of like, oh yeah, speak to your partner about whatever's bothering you. I thought that was like pussy blue pill advice like a few years ago when I was in that sort of like, yeah, I'm an alpha male kind of mindset. And it's only after I started reading like good books and looking at research in like relationships that it is one of the greatest tools that you can have, is just effectively communicate how you feel and what you're thinking, which effective communication means that essentially you speak in a way where the other person's emotions don't get triggered. So if I have like some random thought, like I feel really anxious, or I feel like that you've been slacking or something, or your wife gains weight or something, there's like the ineffective way of saying it where the other person's emotions get triggered and then they get hostile and they get really reserved or maybe angry at you. And there's a sort of like wholesome kind of way to say it, which is like, oh, I'm getting feelings that you may not be faithful, and the reason why is because you have this friend who I noticed this dynamic with or something, and you say it in a way which is just like, this is just how I feel. I'm not like accusing you of anything. This is just the feelings I'm getting. And there's a book which is called Attached by Amir Levine, and in the book there was one sentence which really stuck out to me where he said, people's response to effective communication is always telling. When you honestly and authentically just talk about how you feel and what you're currently thinking, someone's response to that is literally just their response to who you are. And so it's like, if there's someone who, for example, gets annoyed at you when you've said something like, oh, this is how I feel, then it shows that there's an incompatibility there. If there's someone who, like, they kind of get silent and they're like, oh, I didn't realize I was making you think like that. Like, I can promise you nothing's happening and stuff. Now, the truth is, there might still be a dog. They might still be cheating and lying, but it kind of shows that they're at least taking you seriously. And this is what I don't see in this post, and often I don't see with most modern relationships, is the people don't even speak to each other. And this is a major weakness of mine in like previous relationships. I would carry all of these kinds of thoughts in my mind without ever actually bringing it up to the girl that I was dating, just kind of assuming that she maybe knew or not. And you don't realize like how much mental baggage this is. If you can relate to like this post here, or whether it's just in general with some kind of relationship problem, it almost feels like a full-time job to keep it in your mind before you spoke about it. I'm sure you feel this way, as like feminine women often do. Like, it's literally just in your mind 24/7 of like this thing that you've got to speak to each other about, this thing that's making you anxious with your partner, this thing that they hurt you with. And that pain is just going to stay there and make you resent them up until you bring it up. Now, most people will not even bring it up. Some people will bring it up, but they'll bring it up in like a very emotional, immature way, because they've never even learned the skill of communication. And I think maybe a small percentage of people will bring up how they feel in a very respectful, non-combative way, which is really like the point of being in a relationship. It made me realize when I studied this that the skill of a relationship is literally just overcoming the inevitable conflicts that arise. If you think that you don't have conflicts in a relationship, you absolutely do. It's just like you're both not telling each other. So this was a very important lesson for me. You worked 2 jobs while in school to support someone who happily sits on their ass, not contributing, not even cleaning or caring about the pets. Why? Why have you accepted this? So true.
Yeah, I think it definitely depends on if she spoke to him about it or not, or if it was said, like you said, in a like not so healthy way of maybe just coming home, seeing that all of these things that she wanted done wasn't done, and then just putting it out there in like maybe an aggressive or like angry sort of way. I don't think that's going to get anything done.
Yeah, I wonder what she actually could say. Like, if we were in this relationship, or if we were like giving her advice, like if we had to give her a script, because it's almost like, certainly like a woman can test a man to really get him back up to his sort of masculine discipline, purpose, and goals. But there's a right way to go about it. I'm sure that there's actually a lot of women in this same situation of like, they've noticed their boyfriends and husbands are just turning into little weak, lazy men. I think this is probably the most common like relationship problem on the woman's side, is that they ended up dating a guy that they thought was better than he actually is. And when they actually get into a deeper relationship, it turns out he's not as magical. He spends hours a day messaging girls on Instagram, liking pictures and stuff, and playing video games and wasting time with his friends, not actually being productive, but just, you know, doing stupid shit with them, playing video games and stuff.